99% of young men waste their teens and early 20s, and I do not want that for you. I want you to be the top 1%, to be a cut above the rest. And you know, I'm turning 21 soon, I'm getting older, and I'm reflecting on my life, what has worked, what hasn't. And this is going to be a direct, personal video, a step-by-step guide based on my own experiences, so that you don't have to waste your younger years, so that you can really build something productive, to really set yourself up for your 20s. You know, I really want you to hit the ground running so that you can smash your goals and become a well-rounded and accomplished person in your teens, 20s, and beyond. So the first thing that I want to tick off here before I get into any of the finance, business, and money stuff, before anything else, you need to be in the gym. You need to be working on your body at least 3 times a week. You know, bare minimum if you can't afford the gym, getting your daily push-ups, squats. I can't stress enough how dramatic of an effect getting into shape, working on your body has on every avenue of life. Confidence, mental toughness, appearance, you know, your posture and your presence. When your shoulders are back, when your chest is open, and your clothes fit you properly, you move different, you speak differently, and you start to stand your ground in a different way. And trust me, people pick up on that. It's not like they become scared of you, but they subconsciously respect and acknowledge the discipline, effort, and self-respect that it took to get to where you are now. You know, when someone sees that you take care of your body, they'll assume that you take care of your work, your responsibilities, your relationships, and that's why presentation matters. Imagine you walk into a job interview, slouched, scruffy, and low energy. You're unintentionally telling everyone around you that you don't take yourself seriously. And if you don't take yourself seriously, why should anyone else? And I'm not saying this to shame anyone. It's unfortunate, but it's just how human psychology works. You know, as disciplined young men, the goal isn't to judge others. It's to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And if someone close to you is struggling, try to gently uplift them. You know, you encourage them. Let them know that they're doing well, but they could also be improving themselves in other ways. You know, shaming never works long term, trust me. But regardless, if you want to take this further, if you want to develop your mind and character through training your body, I highly recommend learning a martial art. You know, I've trained kickboxing on and off for about 3 years now, and it's greatly contributed to my transformation into a man that my teen self really yearned to be like one day. You know, it's taught me greater humility, discipline, respect, controlled confidence in a way that nothing else really had done before. You know, it keeps the ego in check, teaches you to show up every day, to be consistent and self-respecting. And the conditioning, the cardio required for a martial art is insane. When you first start, you'll feel like it's impossible to get through a session. Your body will ache and you'll feel broken. But if you just keep showing up, if you can weather the storm for a little bit, you learn the basics, your muscles begin to adapt, and you can do well. You know, if you can get through the mud, you can really prove to yourself that you're self-disciplined and you're mentally resilient. You know, if you can get through a martial arts session or a heavy day at the gym, then you can get through anything. You know, business troubles, dilemmas, rejection, issues with friends, family. And like I was saying, the foundation that you build, the physical strength, the discipline, consistency, and self-respect is what everything else on your life gets built on. Understand that developing your physical self will develop your mental self, will develop your business, your wisdom, knowledge, intelligence, all of that. It's a real trickle-down effect. And doing an activity, sport, martial art, gym, whatever it is, it also serves as a really powerful third space. And that's something a lot of young people are missing today. So a third space is basically a social setting, sort of separate from home and work, where people get together, a club basically. You know, it's about community, unwinding after work, and connecting, often over a common shared interest. And it could be a cafe, a park, a pub, gym, sports team, library. And so my third space is the martial arts gym. I'm surrounded by resilient, tough people who are actively trying to improve. And being around like-minded, disciplined people raises your standards without anyone having to say a word. You know, you stop being isolated, you stop drifting, and you start holding yourself to a new standard that expects more from you. You know, my social environment is built around growth instead of comfort. And you know, improvement follows naturally. Again, you just see the improvement in all areas of life. And this is why it's so important to get into good shape. If you really want to go the extra mile, join a martial arts gym, start socializing and bonding with people who share the same interest in your sport, hobby, or art. So step 2, self-care. Following on from this, take time to commit to your self-care every day. Again, how you present shapes how the world treats you. Dress sharp, keep your skin clean, shower well, eat clean and healthy foods. You know, these are all signals, just like staying in shape is. So again, you're signaling discipline, reliability, pride. When you look clean, groomed, and put together, people subconsciously trust you more. You know, it's sort of like that quarters meme that's going around. You know, you dress well and you carry yourself in a respectable manner, and then you begin to hold yourself to that new higher standard. You've decided to take yourself seriously, and again, this creates a trickle-down effect into your confidence, your discipline, your productivity, and opportunity. You know, self-care is a keystone habit that yields a crazy return on investments. You know, These habits develop you as a person, as a man. You are the vehicle that drives your business forward. You are the machine that determines your quality of life. A well-oiled and optimized machine is going to yield far greater than a rusty one. So level up your software and hardware. You are your most valuable asset. Don't be scared to spend money on your education, your body, your skin, your hair, your teeth. How you present is how you get treated. Read books, learn new ideas, always find ways to keep on educating yourself. So again, sort of 2-in-1, body and mind, develop your software and your hardware. And so the next step is an extension on from that. Step 3, learn a high income skill. Develop and work to master a high income skill. You don't just want to dabble, you don't want to learn a few little tricks. No, I really mean you master the skill. And of course you learn the basics, but don't stop there. I want you to become an expert. And this could be any in-demand, sought-after skill that consistently can make you money in the digital age. Learn sales, digital marketing, copywriting, content creation. Learn consulting, videography, AI modeling, coding, software, video editing. You pick one, just one skill, and you commit to working on it every day. Pick one in-demand, monetizable skill in the digital age and go all in. So that's one skill, one lane, daily commitment, and choose one that genuinely interests you, that fits your natural strengths, and that you feel curious about. Curiosity is a powerful signal. Follow it always. And with this high income skill, you want to get to the stage where you could almost teach someone off the top of your head. When you can explain a complex idea simply, when people start coming to you for advice, when you can answer questions off the top of your head, that's when you know you're no longer a beginner. And when you get to the stage, then you know you're becoming a real master of your field. You begin to really see the fruits of your labor. So again, master a high income skill. Every business needs salespeople to sell their product. Businesses need digital marketers, people who understand human behavior and psychology. They need coders and expertise in AI systems and automation, because your job can always be taken away from you, especially in the age of AI. You could lose your money, you could lose your house, you could lose your wife or partner. But what you have in between those ears, what you have in your head, knowledge, expertise, and experience, they cannot be taken away from you. When you invest in yourself before your employer, you gain leverage, you gain independence and options. Learn an innately human, high value, high income skill, so that even the most advanced AI cannot replicate the value and insight that you bring to the table. Line your own pockets, you develop your own skill set, master your chosen skill, and leverage your knowledge and mastery to really dominate your niche or market. Then you can decide to really scale your income by outsourcing low value tasks and automating what doesn't require your brain. You protect your time for the work that actually creates income. And this is how wealth is built, slowly, quietly, deliberately, through years of consistency, learning, and refinement. And eventually you'll get to the stage where you're no longer chasing money, but the money is following your skill and expertise. This is how you never go broke. You get to a stage where you're just a master of your field. You completely dominate your market. And when you get to that stage where you've been working consistently and you start to see good money coming in, to get ahead of the crowd, you start to invest. That's a step 4. Invest and live below your means. You want to ensure that decades of compound growth are ahead of you. I'm going to assume that you're young, you're ambitious, and you have time. For young people like us, time is one of our most valuable assets, especially when it comes to investing. So you want to practice financial discipline, investing on time every month as soon as you're paid. Live below your means so that the majority of your earnings are being put towards building your future. Make it a habit, even if you make just £100. If you have no bills, nothing you urgently need, invest 70 right away. Your future self will thank you. It doesn't matter what you want to invest in, liquid, illiquid. You can invest in the stock market, crypto, real estate if you're already like that. Me personally, I'm a big fan of crypto. I've got videos out now that go into a bit more detail. I'm also very big into the markets, the stock markets. To me, the S&P 500 is the gold standard. You can guarantee a solid 8 to 10% return year on year. You could look into putting your small percentage maybe into a dividend yielding ETF, maybe SCHD or something similar, so that you can guarantee gains during bear markets. The possibilities are endless, how you want to allocate your funds and what you want to invest in, even within stocks, what stocks you want to invest in, what ETFs you want to invest in. Again, I do have videos out about both crypto and navigating the stock market, navigating investment, a beginner's guide. So if you are interested, if you are looking to find a way to invest for you into the stock market, have a look at my channel, got plenty of videos up. But yeah, you can look into gold, silver, but you don't want to over diversify. You want to look into your options and invest into an asset class that you actually actually understand and believe in long term. You know, if you don't understand something, you want to either research it or avoid it, and that's completely fine. You know, don't follow the hype, and don't also fall for fear mongering. Research and come to your own conclusions. And also, don't be afraid to invest directly into your business to increase your cash flow. You know, get those paid ads out, buy more inventory, hire some employees, outsource some tasks, etc. Because with a little investment into your business, in a couple of weeks, couple of months of hard work, you can really double, triple your revenue. Take calculated risks. You're young, you know, you're hopefully healthy and able, with little to no responsibility. No kids, no mortgage. You know, now you're taking care of your health, so you have more energy. So you take those shots, you take those risks within reason. You have time to learn from your mistakes and to experiment. You know, the pain from never trying will burn more than failure. So aim to strike a healthy balance between getting your money to work for you and also investing into your education and taking risks to level up your business. You know, start sooner than later. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. Number 5, prioritize your mission and everything else is secondary. So in everything you do in your day-to-day life, aim to keep your goal in the back of your mind. You know, when you're getting on the bus home from school or work, you want to think about what you're doing when you get home. You want to think about what you're going to do to develop yourself and work towards your goal. When you go to bed at night, just briefly think about or mentally lay out the task that you aim to work through the next day. You know, your growth, your personal development, your career comes first. So learn to say no, learn to be disciplined with your time. And when you live a disciplined life, when you focus on your mission, inevitably you end up outperforming the 99%. You begin to earn more, to gain more respect from your peers, and then you have the time and resources to actually live a better life, to become a more well-rounded person. And so point 6 is to become that well-rounded person. To really be a cut above the rest, you need to stand out. You know, you need to be three-dimensional, to be good at many different things, to be well-rounded. You know, you play a sport, you train a martial art, you're in shape and you have physical presence. You know, you might play a musical instrument, or you research deeply into history or philosophy. You have a keen interest in politics or geography. Maybe you speak multiple languages. You know, the possibilities are endless. You want to be a well-rounded person. You want to aim to tick at least 4 of these boxes. So 1, train a sport, martial art, or be physically fit. Number 2, learn a musical instrument or feed an academic intellectual pursuit. 3, be savvy, knowledgeable, work on a business and develop your high income skill. And 4, be charismatic, be magnetic, have good social skills. You know, you want to be charming, knowledgeable, genuine, down to earth, humble, yet funny, kind, and likable. You know, have stories. You want to be able to input into conversations, have experiences. So don't be afraid to spend some money to travel the world for a bit, to go and visit a friend in a different part of the country. Surround yourself with new people, different people from all walks of life. Be open-minded and learn from other people's points of view. Learn from different beliefs, religions, ideologies, and cultures. You know, the more well-rounded, charismatic, knowledge, fit, in shape, kind, and funny you are, the wider the doors of opportunity open up to you. You will find yourself in rooms that open you up to people of higher incomes, people that you can learn from and build connections, even friendships with. And so I put this last because ultimately, if you do follow this guide, you will end up becoming a well-rounded person. So that's by getting in the gym, picking up that sport or martial art, by investing in yourself, taking care of your body and appearance. You know, you learn the high income skill, you build your net worth by investing in assets, by increasing your income. Doing all these things increase the standards that you have for yourself. And furthermore, assets and greater finances give you the time and peace of mind to actually pursue these hobbies, to develop your body or to compete in your sport. You know, with a stable financial foundation or steady income, you can take calculated risks. You can put yourself out there. Now you can get more stories. Now you have more real world experience. You know, you're getting better at communicating, and therefore you create more memories, and nobody can take this away from you. And it really is a snowball effect. If you follow this guide from the first step to the last step in the order ideally is how you want to do it, because one feeds into the next and that feeds into the other. Again, you know, you work on your body and therefore you come across better, and then you can work on your communication skills. And with your communication skills, you become more likable, more charismatic. And then you get into certain rooms that you wouldn't have gone into. And in those rooms, you make meaningful connections, you make meaningful friends. And with those friends, you can make new memories and etc., etc. It really is a compounding snowball effect. And again, it all starts with the first few steps. So getting into shape, working on your appearance, presenting well, and then using that time to first initially learn your high income skill, to put yourself on the map, to get things started. But yeah, if you found this video useful, I want you to take it seriously. Again, if you want more content like this, practical, no hype breakdowns on money, discipline, and long-term thinking, consider subscribing. You know, I'm documenting what works, what doesn't, and how to build real financial stability over time. So remember, the goal isn't to get lucky, it's to build a system that makes success inevitable, because clarity beats motivation every time.